Gentleman from New York is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, in Donald Trump's own words, in the Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth's own words, the United States is at war with Iran. The question is, did Congress authorize the war as the Constitution requires? Did the President present anything before Congress? Did the Congress have any debate? Did any administrative authority come before the House Foreign Affairs Committee to testify? The answer to that is no. The question is, was there any imminent threat requiring the use of force? The administration has not presented one. In fact, the word imminent does not appear even once in the administration's own War Powers notification. Can't find the word imminent. Did the Trump administration even bother making the case to the American people or to Congress? Just 8 days ago, during the State of the Union, the most visible platform as a president has, he could have laid out the rationale for military action as other presidents have. Instead, Iran was just a footnote in a record long speech. This is a war of choice that was launched by this administration without authorization, without clearly stating objectives or a defined endgame, and without explaining how they intend to keep Americans safe. The chaos unleashed would not be born by the president's family. It will be born by our men and women in uniform who will face retaliation from Iran and its proxy networks. It will be born by innocent civilians at heightened risk of attacks from Iran's aligned terrorist cells. It will be born by American families paying more for groceries, for electricity, for gasoline, all for Donald Trump's war of choice. Americans woke up on Saturday to the news that the United States is again at war in the Middle East. They don't know for how long, because the president has not articulated a clearly defined endgame. Military action without a defined strategy invites escalation, mission creep, and failure. We should have learned this lesson already. Why? We should have learned it, or where? From Iraq, from Afghanistan, and Vietnam. As Benjamin Franklin once said, when you fail to plan, you plan to fail. This War Powers resolution is simple. This is not a vote on the authorization for use of military force. This simply demands that the President of the United States come to Congress, as our Constitution demands, to seek authorization for what he himself has described as a war. Just abide by the Constitution. We all bring our hands up and swear when we're sworn in to say, we will abide by the Constitution. You would think that the President of the United States would do just that. This War Powers resolution does not prevent the United States from defending itself. It does not stop the President from responding to an imminent attack. It does not limit us from protecting our troops. You know, I've served in Congress for 28 years, and I've been in this chamber as this body has done its most sacred and serious work, deliberating whether to send our American service members into harm's way. It's a difficult vote. It's a serious vote. Without question, the hardest vote that I've ever had to take. But that's my responsibility. I took a pledge to the Constitution that I would follow it. You know, I was here for the vote after 9/11 to go into Afghanistan, a heavy decision. The president brought information in. We had dialogue, we had conversation, we had debate. We did something else. In the House Foreign Affairs Committee, we had hearings. We had administration officials come in. I wasn't even the ranking member or the chair or anything else. I was just a member of the committee. I could call the administration and say, I need to speak to a deputy secretary or the secretary. And they would come into my office and we would have this dialogue to determine whether or not we were going to go into this war. Has that happened now? For over a year. For all the times. Not once have we had a hearing in the House Foreign Affairs Committee. We've asked to have individuals that were negotiating. Unfortunately, some of them are not employed by the State Department, et cetera, like Mr. Kushner and Mr. Witkoff, who all are friends of the president's, basically real estate negotiators, who they were just a half an hour in Geneva flipping back and forth from two major negotiations. And if it was serious, I wouldn't have been in the White House when the president was supposed to have been honoring individuals after we had lost the lives of 6 service members, talking about curtains and how I redecorated the White House. This is too serious a decision for me. I would hope for the President of the United States also. So, getting the facts, in Iraq, the Secretary of State came before and testified, went before the UN, talked to the American people. Now, I disagreed because I didn't see the connections after I got get the information on Iraq, so I voted no. I agreed on Afghanistan, but the point here is the president obeyed the Constitution because he came to Congress first and allowed the members of Congress to make a determination. What has to stop, because what has happened year after year in my time here, I have watched Congress gradually relinquish its authority on matters of war to the executive branch. We've allowed overly broad authorizations for the use of military force to remain on the books. We have permitted presidents of both parties to commit forces without a vote. This war with Iran is the most extreme example of that abdication. The framers rejected the idea of a king, meaning one person making a decision without consultation, without giving any reason to this body. Absolutely rejected. We're not under an authoritarian government, like Russia, for example, where Vladimir Putin, he can go to war. He doesn't have to worry about the Duma. They're not a body that has the responsibility that we have in this Congress. So he can go on and fight a war that he created without worrying about being or having to talk and being accountable to anyone. Our founding fathers did not want that. They didn't want a king. That's why we were created as a body. And it's long past time for us to reclaim and stand up for that authority. For I tell you, even though he may want us to think he is, Donald Trump is not a king. And if he believes the war with Iran is in our national interest, then he must come to Congress and make the case. Show the facts. Show what the intelligence says. Come to Congress and allow us to ask the questions. We've had 3 scenarios. The so-called Gang of 8 met once. Then they got another phone call right beforehand. Then the so-called Gang of 20 met once. That's all we've heard from the president. So I oppose this war of choice. But guess what, Mr. Speaker? Each member here must make clear with their own vote where they stand on that decision. The president has initiated hostilities without a clear mission, and without a coherent strategy, and without a defined end game. And some members of Congress may decide after they see everything, we may not see it together in the same way. But the evidence and the case comes here, and then we take a vote. And as was the occasion for me back in 2003, I voted one way, the majority voted another way. President had the authority. Another time, I voted the way the majority voted. But each time they came to us. And that's what this debate is about. And that's what we need to do. Now, Mike, as I see this, the president has initiated hostilities without a clear mission, without a coherent strategy, and without a defined end game. So this is an open-ended, undefined military engagement is precisely what the War Powers Resolution was designed to restrain. We are not the Iranian parliament. We are not a rubber stamp Congress, or at least we shouldn't be a rubber stamp Congress. But in this scenario, we see whatever this president wants, my colleagues on the other side will just rubber stamp it. We should be a co-equal branch of government. And our duty is not optional. It was written in the Constitution. The framers gave Congress this authority because they believed no single person should have the power to take this nation to war alone. So today, we either defend the principle or we surrender it. I choose to defend the Constitution and defend the principle and do my job that I put my hand up and swore I would. Hard votes, easy votes, I'll take them all because that's what I swore an oath to do. And with that, I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Florida is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield myself as much time as I may consume.
Gentleman's recognized.